I feel like a major issue that we have in this country is broken systems and a lack of trust. We have elections coming in a couple of months, and voting is no longer seen as a civic duty, but more of like a security decision.
Hello, my name is Tehemba, and you are welcome to Purple Diaries, Policy Innovation Center's platform for advancing conversations around gender and social inclusion. In line with the 2026 Gender and Inclusion Summit team, making innovation count for the last mile, we have engaged some amazing change makers to find out the amazing job they're doing to make innovation available and relevant to the ordinary man. I know you do not want to miss this. Watch out for it.
All right, good morning. You are welcome to the Purple Diaries. Can you just help briefly in a few minutes just introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Praise Emerhirhi, and I'm a programs officer at the Center for Inclusive Social Development.
The Center for Inclusive Social Development. What do you guys do there?
I feel like it's self-explanatory. It's literally just in the description of our company's name. So social development, basically, and we are in every span of the development space, governance, inclusion, whatever the case may be. We are trying to put our little steps to make Nigeria better year in, year out.
Okay, cool. So do you guys do any work around governance? Do you do any work around electioneering, governance? And
Yeah, definitely. I think notably we had a program at the end of last year called Nigeria's debt crisis, right? We're highlighting Nigeria's debt crisis, where it was currently at, if we don't take necessary measures to actually push for change and demand accountability from our government and stuff like that. So it's a series as well. It's not going to end there, because there are going to be more programs like that. And also with the coming of elections in a couple of months, it's almost like under a year now, there will be definitely programs like that. We just launched our Civic Talks platform. It's like a safe space where people from different social classes can come and talk about whatever government issue that is persistent to them. And from our first episode a couple of months back, you could feel the level of authenticity and anger and whatever the case may be, whatever feeling is, questions, misinformation, lack of understanding from Nigerians. And the idea with that was, you usually have platforms where there's a panel and you don't necessarily feel like you belong in the room, right? So with Civic Talks, it was mostly a case of, everybody's equal here, and there was no panel. Like everybody, both the experts and everybody, was seated in the same arrangement. So like nobody feels like they are bigger than each other. So people from social class, every single social class, both the most petty traders or businessmen or transporters, whatever the case may be, there's a room for you and your voice will be heard.
What would you say is the opinion of people? Do you think that people have trust in the governance process, the whole electoral process that we have currently?
No, right? We're trying our best to be as honest as possible. We're trying our best to be as honest as possible. So definitely no, right? Because I feel like a major issue that we have in this country is broken systems and a lack of trust, right? If you want to talk about elections, for instance, we have elections coming in a couple of months, and we have seen the percentage of voting, the amount of people that have voted compared to registered voters have dropped drastically from 2011. So let's say in 2011 elections, we had about 53% of people that registered to vote actually voting. And from our last elections, that seemed to be the most, I'll put it as the one that had the most clout, right? Our last elections had the most social media presence, let's put it like that. But only 20 to 27% of people that registered to vote actually voted. And as much as you would think that there was increased participation, especially with young people, regarding the fact that there was a new emerging candidate that people necessarily believed in for the first time, it's going to be another case of another drop off again, right? Because of why? Lack of trust and also insecurity as well. So with electoral violence and issues like that, we realize that voting is no longer seen as a civic duty, but more of like a security decision you're having to make based on the fact that you are thinking. Even your parents would question and ask you, my daughter or my son, are you going out to vote today and stuff like that? Because you have currently seen that, okay, even when you try to have hope that, this next one will be different, this next one will be different, you are constantly failed and you're constantly disappointed. So like, why would you convince me that the next one will be better? That's what the idea of the average Nigerian.
Yeah, I can imagine. So looking at solutions now, what can be done to help, number one, build trust, and then reduce voter apathy, particularly from young people and marginalized groups?
So first off, with the idea of voter apathy, I don't think it's a case of not participation, like not participating. Because if you could talk about apathy now, it's like a lack of interest.
Yeah.
There's no lack of interest. I think it's more of a case of a withdrawal from a system that is not working and that has continuously failed them, like I said earlier.
Wow.
So when you talk about solutions, for example, it's kind of a two-way thing, but let's just focus on the government, for instance, because our political history and democracy that we practice has not necessarily been the best and like a clear blueprint that people would want to copy because of the level of scatteredness, let's put it like that, right, with regards to the practice. So like when you constantly see cases where, like I said, trust is being broken, it's hard for you to get people to come back up again. So when you say solutions now, I feel like the major issue should be from the government's perspective.
Okay.
Right. Some kind of times, I think I attended a meeting a couple of months ago, and somebody was saying about how us as citizens, we are supposed to bear most of the brunt by constantly believing in this government. But I made a comment that day, and I was like, we forget that sometimes we get out of touch with reality. Everybody's not the same, right? And with the level, some level of access or experience that you have is not the same for the average Nigerian. Let's put it like that. And it's hard for you to convince a random man in a village in Zamfara State to believe that voting will change anything, right? And that's why, for example, when you see stories like crazy stories on the internet, it goes from, oh, let's get your PVC to start voting, to take your JAPA plan seriously. There's a bit of a survival instinct to Nigeria's mood for change. It's no longer a case of, oh, we are hoping that something would get better. Especially, I feel like the NSAS protests and the last elections were two key areas where there was a serious break of trust, because with the NSAS protests, for example, it was one of the first times there was a unified that Nigerians were unified for like a serious issue, at least in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And people bought the idea, and people were on stage and like they were like, okay, let's try and push for this and everything. And how did it end? The last elections as well, there was a lot of campaigns, or this time is going to be different, time is going to be different. And then immediately election starts, you see electoral violence just 2 minutes after election start or 1 hour after. Let's not even go far. I think if you ask me this question as well, even my own self, I'll be like, okay, I believe that, the next one should be better. But then it just concluded by elections in Abuja.
Yeah.
This is Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, and in less than 1 hour after the election started, you could see issues of vote buying or electoral violence and stuff like that. So it's more of a case of the system should be fixed, right? It's a thing of the government's role in getting back the hands of the citizens. So how would they do that? I think it's a case of building that trust back. I don't know how they're going to plan on doing it, but you have to just make a build system that would actually work. Let there be implementation, let there be accountability, stuff like that. People know that, okay, if you make mistakes, or if you kind of like do things that are illegal or whatnot, or threaten Nigeria's democracy or electoral processes, you are actually punished. Because obviously I'm not here to name names or mention anything, but if you look at the most people in our political offices, they have histories or tracks of electoral violence or whatnot, and there are people ruling us. So it's more of a case of fixing those systems to actually buy back the young people. It's going to take a long time, because the truth is that I don't know how confident we all are going towards our next elections in January, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, all right. So I like the fact that you spotlighted systems that need to be put in place. Do you have any ideas or any suggestion, towards that? What systems can be put in place, as a nation that will actually curb these challenges that you've mentioned?
So when you talk about systems, right, I don't think people could think that it was a law issue or it was a constitution issue. I don't think we have a law issue. I think we have an implementation issue. So the laws that are embedded in our constitution, right, with regards to punishments or whatever the case may be, there should be proper accountability and implementation as well, right? So the reason why a government official can come into office and have the mind to do whatever it feels like doing it because of the fact that there's no implementation to the laws and there's lack of accountability.
There should be consequences.
So there should be definite consequences, right? It is a case of if a child misbehaves, for example, and person gets punished, the other child behind will be like, oh, this person got punished for this. I don't think I should do this.
Yeah.
So when people that are in politics or aspirants, right, see that, oh, when you actually mess up or break the laws or like, do you understand?
Yeah.
There's clear punishments. They would re-strategize and they're like, oh, maybe we actually need to be authentic and not have plans for vote buying and stuff like that. Because if you look at it now, with every election, there are active plans for vote buying. So you can imagine how it has been normalized so much in our society. Why? Because there's a lack of accountability and there's no punishments. So even no matter how much you talk right now, there's also going to be a case of, oh, the next election that comes up, there will be issues like that. So when people constantly see things like that, that was what would more deepen into the lack of trust issue, and then it's going to be tough to solve.
All right, thank you so very much for you articulating your thoughts, around all the questions that have been asked. I wish you had more time to dig into this, but sadly our time is up. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
It was such an honor to have you on Purple Diaries, and looking forward to having you back here again. All right.